Okay, let's try this again. I reset my router and I had to run a software update apparently, so I'm back up and running. Yeah, better luck this time, Charles. Hopefully, I don't know. We'll see. I think it's gonna work out because I haven't updated the software on this laptop in a while, so it should be good to go now. I mean, the messed up part about it is I don't know if the audience is gonna come back because I try to set the stream at a certain time, and so people get notified in advance, and it just works out better that way. But nonetheless, if it's just you in here, I don't care. We'll still talk about it. What I am going to do, though, is pick up where I left off. So that first stream, I watched it. It was like 14 minutes long. That pretty much is all I had to say about the Candace Owens Cardi B thing. So if you're just tuning in, you want to know my thoughts on that, maybe I'll circle back to it, But if you want to know the gist of what I had to say, just check out that other video. I'm going to leave it up because it's monetized, surprisingly, and I got super chats there. So check it out, but I'm going to pick up where I left off. Yeah, I want to talk about just the state of everything, right? Like, everything that I'd like to focus on tends to be more culture related because that's what I feel like I have the ability to help shape or at least commentate on. And then that's what is upstream from politics, right? Like that's what breeds the AOCs of the world. And that's what Democrats pander to, is whatever is trendy and chic in culture. And hip hop is a big part of culture, whether you like hip hop or not. And so, the Candace Owens Cardi B thing is interesting. So I want to see how it plays out because, in my opinion, Candace hit it out of the park. She crushed her. I mean, how do you argue that? How do you argue that it's that it's empowering women to twerk on stage and talk about your wet VJ? Anyway, we're gonna move on. Check out the first video if you want to see my thoughts completely on that. But it's not just Candace, though. It's Tucker Carlson. They're always worried about him because he's another person that just cuts through the BS. He says it exactly like it is. And the majority of people already think that. So, see, we got a crowd that came back in. Appreciate people that came back. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was YouTube per se because I saw that that my Wi-Fi was connected to the laptop as opposed to the Ethernet that I normally use, which doesn't have any interruption. So yeah, somebody asked me to address New Mexico nursing homes, discretionary funds, complete media silence. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about it. Oh, Mike, please don't circle back like Saki. I'm not going to do that. But anyway, some other things. The woke military. I mean, there's just a lot of topics. I don't know. I got to get back in my groove after that first live stream. Usually I'm locked in and I could just fire off, but I'll just touch on a few things. The woke military, maternity flight suits for women. I mean, it's making us look weak. If there was ever a time where this country is vulnerable to being invaded militarily, it would be right now. It would be right now where the military is chiming into politics and they're partisan now. And of course, they're being led by a weak leader. And they're trying to be politically correct. I mean, what is this nonsense? A pregnant woman is going to be a fighter pilot now? Like, we're going to do this thing. Like, it's some kind of virtue signal. We're going to change the outfits for pilots so women can be pilots. It's stupid. Everybody knows it's stupid. It makes no sense, but that's the direction that all aspects of American life are heading. It doesn't matter if it's hip hop and entertainment. It doesn't matter if it's TV shows, the Kardashians, the Grammys, academia with Drag Queen Story Hour. Desmond is amazing. They're going so far down the line. Military, politics, corporations, virtue signaling. That's what I was talking about before I got cut off, is how this all seeps in, this politics seeps into everywhere in our culture, every aspect of it. You can't escape it. And one side claims the moral high ground all the time. It's very narcissistic. Like, they can't ever be wrong. But if you disagree, not only are you wrong, you're actually evil. You support the opposite thing, right? That's where we are. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse. The area that I feel, because people are like, what are your solutions? You never have solutions. My solutions right now, I think, are to homeschool, stop the bleeding, right? You have to cut off their supply. And I think the best way to do it, if they're not going to open your schools, educate your kids at home. Is it really that hard to just teach your kid the ABCs? Like, A is for apple, B is for ball, C is for cat, D is for door. Why does it have to be the gay BCs? Why do you have to have anti-racist baby books? Why do you have to program kids and, pollute their innocence? Because what they do is they grow up and they become activists, SJWs. They become pissed off. They hate the country. So I think that's how you do it. I don't know how you change the minds of millennials. I don't know how you change the minds of boomers or everybody else. I think you just have to be mindful. If you have kids, you gotta protect them at all costs, because they're the future. The world that is being built now is what they will inherit, and they'll have to grow up in. Charles said an example of good culture on Benny Johnson's show on Newsmax. Topher and Marine rapper appeared to discuss their music. Topher's new album, No Apologies, is good. They have good music, I think. Support your host. YouTube doesn't. Thank you, Jared. Appreciate it. God bless you. Thanks to everybody that came back in after that kerfuffle, after that shutdown. I didn't even know. I was talking for like probably 2 minutes, I think, before I started to notice the comments said that I was buffering and that it froze. So that's weird, because when you rewatch it, it wasn't that way. It just looked like it shut off prematurely in the middle of me talking. But I'm going to be more mindful of the comments this time around in case that happens again. But it should be all good to go since I reboot the router and ran a software update. So, yeah, the military is weird. Everything's just going to be weird under Biden. Here's what's funny. Here's what they think is important. Some senator from Massachusetts, I think, wants the FBI to go back and investigate Brett Kavanaugh. That should be what they focus on right now. That should be what the FBI focuses on. Not human trafficking, not who killed Epstein, not election fraud or anything else, right? Cartels. It should be, let's go back and dig up that 2018 FBI investigation of Brett Kavanaugh, because it might be fake, as he put it. Fake. The Brett Kavanaugh investigation is a top priority of at least one Democrat, but I'm sure plenty others would be on board with it too. Because why not? Why not try to, impeach Kavanaugh? Let's continue focusing on that. I don't know why they would anyway. It's like he's probably going to vote with them half the time anyway. What's the point? They pretty much have SCOTUS, right? Nobody stands up for the Constitution on the Supreme Court, as far as I'm concerned. Clarence Thomas is the only one with some balls. The rest of them, I feel like, are just going to go along to get along, just like the GOP, the majority of the GOP, the Mitch McConnells, the establishment, the rhinos. But I think it's funny that you want to try to waste taxpayer dollars like they do so well to have the FBI go and investigate their investigation. So if you think that the investigation was fake, you're hiring the FBI to investigate themselves because, yeah, Kavanaugh wasn't investigated enough, right? The Christine Blasey Ford is who should be investigated, right? She's the one who admitted that she lied, didn't know what year it happened. But that's what's funny. They want to investigate Brett Kavanaugh for something from 2018, but it's not from 2018. It's from his college years when he was drinking beer. You can't make this stuff up, you guys. It is so weird, this timeline. This never-ending timeline. Yes, and I did have to change shirts because it's hot today. It's almost 90 degrees today. And it just feels too early to turn on the AC in Florida. So I'm stubbornly just going to keep my window open and just let this hot air come in and try to cool me off. at least a little bit. But I had to. It's way too hot in this house. And it's like I said, it's too early to turn on the AC. Floridians know what I'm talking about. It's way too soon for that. But I hope everybody got their stimmy checks. Hope everybody's doing good out there. One big thing I want to talk about, though, that's the other big story, at least in my opinion, the Gavin Newsom recall. Okay, Gavin Newsom recall. They got more than enough signatures. I think they got like 500,000 more signatures than they needed. And I'm sure there's more signatures pouring in. They could probably get as many as they want. They could probably just keep it going. Gavin Newsom is blaming anti-vaxxers, QAnon, white supremacists, and Trump supporters for his recall. Not himself, not the fact that he broke his own rules when he dined out and told all the restaurants in California they need to shut down. When his lockdown and his empowering mayors to be tyrannical and draconian with their lockdowns. Remember the mayor of LA, Eric Garcetti, dumped sand in the skate park because skate parks apparently spread the virus and you can't skate there. So we're going to dump sand in a skate park. We're going to pay somebody to go dump sand on a skate park. You only feel empowered like that as a mayor if your governor feels the same way. And that's Gavin Newsom in a nutshell. So this guy is blaming people on the other side of the political aisle with no evidence, of course. It's QAnon and anti-vaxxers. What does that have to do with anything? And then also, I want to read you guys the direct tweet for Bernie Sanders last week. Because remember, I said last week, Bernie Sanders running defense, trying to circle the wagons around Gavin Newsom over this recall. Bernie Sanders, here's his tweet. Right-wing Republicans in California are trying to recall Gavin Newsom for a crime of telling people to wear masks and listen to scientists during COVID. Extremist Republicans have done enough to undermine democracy. We must all unite to oppose the recall. Bernie Sanders, that's another out-of-touch liar. It's already been proven that it's not just Republicans and conservatives that are trying to recall this man. He's saying it's only 2 million people. And he was on Jake Tapper the other night. And even Jake Tapper, believe it or not, did a little piece of journalism and actually pushed back and, was a little bit tough on him. Like, yeah, we actually interviewed some of the people that want to recall you, and they're lifelong Democrats. They just think you're a tyrant. He can't look in the mirror and say, maybe I was a little wrong. He can't admit his wrongs. He can't admit that he is a dictator. He can't admit that he is destroying his state and people are fleeing his state. How many people, if they didn't flee the state, would have signed to recall him? So now we'll see what happens. I guess it's going to go on the ballot in November, and the state can then vote to recall him. And rightfully so. Hopefully the same thing happens in New York. But it's so funny. This guy's out here blaming everybody but himself. It's white supremacists. This is one of the oldest tricks in the Democrat playbook to smear and libel people that criticize you, people that are opposed to your views, opposed to your policies, opposed to your measures, which in his case were very extreme in California. He also falsely said that Florida has a higher death rate. Florida didn't handle it well. So he's playing partisan politics. He can't look in the mirror and admit he was wrong. The only time he admitted he was wrong and apologized is because he got caught. Let's be real. He apologized for eating out in a restaurant when he told Californians they couldn't because he got caught. But the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, because that's Nancy Pelosi's nephew. And I know they're not related by blood, but still, it's a crime family. It's a syndicate. They're frauds. They're hypocrites. They're liars. Go look it up. California's been run by like 4 families for the past 80 plus years. Go look it up. And Gavin Newsom is just right there. So, hopefully he gets recalled. I don't know how that'll work if it goes to voting. They might find a way to rig that. Like, actually, no, California really supports him. And I believe he's only like 2 years into his term as governor. But it's just funny. He's out there blaming all these groups, making it partisan. Bernie Sanders amplifying it. See, they're so political. Every single time that something is wrong and it falls on them, they blame the other. They say, they use these buzzwords: GOP, Republicans, right wingers, far right extremists. They never look in the mirror. You got nobody to blame for the problems in California except yourself. And why are you smearing the 2 million plus people, the 2 million white supremacists, anti-vaxxers, QAnoners, right? That want you out. It's all them, 2 million plus. Remember, 2 million plus. Why would you go on TV and talk bad about the people that you are elected to represent? That doesn't sound like unity and healing. I mean, just saying, if you have a problem, or if people in your state have a problem, you are elected to represent them too. You could just see he's rattled by this because the way he sounded on that clip. If it wasn't like 10 minutes long, if I had it pulled up, I would play some of it just because it's good reference, just because his body language and his responses, even when Jake Tapper pushed back, which is kind of a surprise, but I guess they have to do some journalism every once in a while. Once in a blue moon, they'll do a little bit of journalism. But just funny, man. Like, let's blame everybody. Let's blame racism and white supremacy, says the guy that's about to do a freaking diversity hire. He also said, once Dianne Feinstein steps down, which who knows if that'll happen, she might pass to the other side while she's in office. I don't know of a nicer way to say it. But once Dianne Feinstein resigns, one way or the other, he says that he's going to backfill her with a black woman. For what? For what? To appease what? And why you're doing it now? Damage control, trying to save face. Like, look, no, guys, I'm part of the woke still. I'm gonna backfill this lady who's been in politics for freaking ever with a black woman just because, the optics. Doesn't matter if she's qualified or not. I'm going to hire her because of the color of her skin. That's where we are. He said it. That's what he's going to do. Virtue signaling hard about it, but calling other people racist. If you want to repeal him because he's a tyrant and won't let your state be free, it's because you're anti-vaxxing QAnon white supremacist. Again, Democrat playbook. Diversity hire. I'm going to hire someone based on their skin color, but I'm calling you a racist at the same time. That is Gavin Newsom. So hopefully there's going to be some coverage at some point. Hopefully there'll be some rallies, something around the recall Newsom effort, because that's huge. I mean, he's the governor of the largest state in the country. When you think about all 50 states, only 2 states get more attention than the rest, New York and California. Both of those governors are in turmoil, high profile cases, especially in New York. And now look at them. Look at them. Their professional careers are circling the drain at this point. Cuomo more so than Newsom. I don't think, remember at one point they were like, should Andrew Cuomo enter the race? Back when you had 47 Democrats running for president. They were like, should Cuomo enter the race? Because the way he's handled the pandemic, he would be the most responsible. He seems presidential with his daily press briefings on the virus. The way he's handled it is just so great. Yeah, those statements didn't age so well, did they? So it's like if New York and California have been doing all of this and it's starting to come to light, what has been going on in the other kind of second tier level Democrat states, Democrat run states? Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Illinois come to mind. Apparently, Gretchen Whitmer could be facing criminal charges for her role in nursing home deaths in Michigan. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I bet you if you uncovered some of this stuff, you will find out that they're engaged in a lot of corruption, bribery, treason, all these things. So I'm just curious, what else might be uncovered here? What other results can be driven? Because that California recall Gavin Newsom, in my opinion, I think is very, it was a results-driven thing. A grassroots effort, and they got results. They at least got it on the ballot. They got him to have to address it. Now they got enough signatures, because when it first came out, I was like, all right, well, are they going to actually get enough signatures to do it? Now it's actually going to be on the ballot. Now The news has to talk about it. Now he has to make some kind of statement because the calls to recall this man are too big and too loud to ignore. So can that happen in other states? Michigan, recall Gretchen Whitmer. What's the holdup? Illinois, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York. We'll see how that plays out with Andrew Cuomo because he has Democrat privilege. It's only people like Andrew Cuomo and Ralph Northam that can get caught in blackface, get sexual harassment allegations, and be like, nah, I ain't stepping down. Matter of fact, I'm going to do a press conference and talk about something totally different. I'm not apologizing for it. And I think that the story might actually fizzle out. I think the story of Andrew Cuomo might actually fizzle out. We'll see. If something bigger overtakes it, you know that the news cycle switches pretty quickly. So it's a matter of time before that just kind of gets swept under the rug. There's been bigger stories than that. Epstein. What happened to that? Nobody talks about it anymore. But Democrat privilege is real. Any Republican governor in the nation that had one sexual harassment allegation would have to step down immediately. Immediately. We all know it's true. But because Andrew Cuomo's a Democrat, he's going to get a pass. And even though that's not even the biggest reason he should step down, it's what he did to cover up nursing home deaths. But it's okay. Ralph Northam, it's okay. You can dress in blackface twice. He'll probably get reelected. And all the people who cry racism will vote for him. If Northam were to run for president, if it were Northam versus Trump, they would have voted Northam. They'd be like, I don't care about that picture in blackface. I don't care. It's the orange face I don't like. That's partisan politics. That's most people on the left. Not most people, but a big chunk of them. A lot of them. Moving along. Ohio has no recall. And you guys got a Republican governor too. What's that guy up to? Besides passing curfews. What kind of nonsense is that? Curfew for adults? How about no? What else did I have on? I'm trying to remember what I'll put in my original title for the last live stream. Just other topics, things. North Korea they broke their silence on Biden being in the White House. And they warned him because I guess there's like joint, practice. I don't know what you call it, but South Korea and the United States do their like joint flyovers and military stuff. And North Korea, they never liked that. But it's going to be interesting to see how Kamala handles foreign relations with a rogue nation like North Korea. Because remember the narrative. The narrative was Trump is going to get us in World War III. It will happen. We're going to war with North Korea. The fear-mongering that rained down after he got elected. And then all that happened was 3 historic summits. Temporary, if not permanent, peace on the Korean Peninsula. That war is not officially ended. The Korean War is not officially ended. He crossed the demilitarized zone and walked over to North Korea by himself. Now, obviously, that's not going to be happening under this administration, but tensions might amp up. I mean, why not? Why not? If there was ever a time for us to go to war, it would be now. I mean, you see what we're already doing over in the Middle East, inflaming tensions there. So we'll see. We'll see. But that's interesting that they made a statement, and I don't think it was Kim Jong-un. It was his sister, which I don't know her name. Just said, Biden, watch what you're doing. Just watch yourself. Just, testing the waters because they know he's a pushover. They know that he's being puppeteered by somebody. We don't know who. Probably a plethora of people from different backgrounds, different industries, special interest groups, people with different agendas. They're puppeteering this man. And speaking of Biden, the video I don't know if anybody saw this. Apparently he was headed to maybe Marine One yesterday. And he walked up to a bunch of press. And from the video, it looks like it was photoshopped or he was superimposed or they used a green screen because his hand goes over the mic. It looks very questionable. It looks like the video might have been faked. And so people are calling it that with of course, only the evidence of the video without actually knowing. My thing is, why would they need to fake that? I get it. Some people are going to say, because he's incompetent. He's not actually there. But why do you need to fake that specific video of him walking to a helicopter and answering a question that he's not going to the southern border? It just doesn't serve any purpose. It doesn't serve any purpose. If anything, they need to try to be faking his speaking engagements. If he's talking to the press, any statement he makes, that's what they would be more concerned with instead of him walking. If you ask me, it looked like a real video. I mean, he looked old and confused, discombobulated. He looked like somebody that should be eating tapioca, sitting in a chair, playing bingo. That's just what he looked like. But they're saying the video looks fake. Yeah, I can see where it comes from, but I also saw a different angle. I think it's a nothing burger. I think it's just a non-starter for me. I think it's just a distraction story, just something, because the news cycle is just kind of, today anyway, it's kind of slow. But that's what people are talking about. What other stories are big this week? Oh, yeah, the Nashville shooting. I actually just saw the video. I heard about it back when it happened, but I did no research, zero research on it. But then I just watched the body cam footage today, and my thoughts on it are, I'm not surprised at that outcome. I mean, how is anybody surprised? Doesn't matter. They're going to probably riot anyway because, you know, the optics fit the narrative. A black person was shot by a white cop. Doesn't matter about the facts or anything else like that. BLM will cash in on it because it's expedient to do so. And yeah, the race grifters will get richer off of this. Black bodies matter to them. But anyway, I watched the video and the woman ran from the cop, reached for a gun, shot the cop. That's been confirmed. It's on camera. You can see it. He didn't shoot her right away. He tased her. She got back in the car. He tased her from the driver's seat. The door was open. And then he said, like, you know, put down the gun or whatever. And clearly she must have shot him first. And then he shot back. It's hard to tell who shot first, but I'm guessing she did. And then he returned fire. But then she drove away and ended up dying in the hospital later. But the story's going to be about her and not the officer. Now, I don't know what happened that led up to the altercation because the video just starts like, I don't know, right before it happens. Like she's already standing outside of the car. I don't know why she was pulled over, if she was even pulled over, if she was just standing there. But I don't know if she's on drugs. It's really hard to tell from the actual video because she's just standing there with a cigarette in her mouth. Her purse is on the back of the car. And then she starts freaking out. So it's very possible that she was paranoid about something. And it just begs the question. Why do people, if cops are hunting down black people, why are you going to then try to run from the cop? If you've seen the situation that's happened with other black people who have supposedly been hunted down and killed by law enforcement, why would you then, in a situation where the cop who could potentially kill you, why would you then make it easier for them to kill you by running, resisting arrest, trying to flee, and then pulling a gun? I mean, was that like suicide by cop? Was it a death wish? I don't know. I'm just saying from a logical perspective, why would anybody of any race try to do that and expect a different result? Like, what was the cop pulling you over for? Did you have weed in your car? Are you on the run, a warrant, a felon? What is it? What is it that is so worth running? And then nobody can be surprised except for the people who are emotionally invested, the people that are going to be outraged anyway, because like I said, the optics, white cop, black person, in the story, let's protest, we're outraged. You know, that's probably what will happen. I haven't followed any of the follow-up to it. Like, I don't know if people are marching and protesting. I'm just assuming because we've seen so many cases just like this where it's completely justified. The person is in the wrong. They get shot or they get killed and people get outraged anyway. They go tear up their city, burn cars, torch businesses, terrorize their neighborhood, make things worse. That is what they do. And that brings me to another great point. To the mother of Tamir Rice, who, this is the kid in like Cleveland, I think, maybe back like, I don't know, it had to be at least 5-6 years ago. A kid was in a park in Cleveland and he had a gun, but it wasn't a real gun. I guess it was a toy gun, but he took off the little red cap that signaled it would be a fake gun. He was maybe 13 years old, I think. Anyway, cops show up at the park, kill him. Sad story. It's bad. His mom is now calling out by name all of the people, the grifters, the race hustlers, the race pimps who cashed in on not only her son's death, but other Black people who died. They come in for photo ops like Al Sharpton. He comes in, gives a press conference, goes to the church, goes to the funeral, collects a check, probably stays at a nice hotel and goes to the next thing. A grifter, just a wicked person that cashes in on the plight of a family who lost a loved one and exploits the death of somebody who's no longer here to receive a penny of it, none of it, whether it's justified or not. The race grift, the race hustle is real. People are cashing in. So I want to read the statement from Samaria Rice, mother of Tamir Rice. Let me rotate my phone so I can zoom in. Okay. So she name dropped a bunch of people. She said Tamika Mallory, Sean King, Benjamin Crump, Lee Merritt, Patrice Cullors, one of the trained Marxists, Melina Abdullah, and the Black Lives Matter Global Network need to step down, stand back, and stop monopolizing and capitalizing our fight for justice and human rights. We never hired them to be representatives in the fight for justice for our dead loved ones, murdered by the police, whatever. The activists have events in our cities and have not given us anything substantial for using our loved ones' images and names on their flyers. The attorneys in our fight are also misleading the impacted families. In the case of Tamir Rice, it was even questionable as to whether Benjamin Crump knew the laws in depth in the state of Ohio. I fired him 6 to 8 months into Tamir's case. We don't want or need y'all parading in the streets, accumulating donations, platforms, movie deals, etc., off the death of our loved ones, while the families and communities are left clueless and broken. Don't say our loved ones' names, period. That's our truth. Now, that's powerful from somebody who lost her son to a situation with law enforcement. And I don't see this is why I don't like to really go into the cases and the details too much, because number one, it bores me. And number two, I'm not emotionally invested in these cases or the outcomes, right? Because the truth is there is police brutality. It is happening. It happens to a lot of people. See, when we get into those kind of facts about like, well, blacks versus whites, disproportionate crime. So you can go down a whole different rabbit trail with this, but something like this where a mother who lost her son in one of these situations speaks out because she sees the grift, she sees the hustle, she sees them using her son. People who've never met her using her son's name for clicks on social media, people virtue signaling, all these corporations. We at Coca-Cola stand with the Black community against systemic racism. Just because it's trendy and chic, everybody cashes in, but the people affected. And that Benjamin Crump guy, he always shows up for all of these cases. He's an ambulance chaser. That's a prototypical ambulance chaser right there. Al Sharpton is a race hustler. And the people who run these cities, like a Cleveland and Baltimore, are poverty pimps. They continue to cram down the narrative. Systemic racism, police brutality. Vote for me, because the other side's racist. It's Republicans, it's Trump, it's white supremacy, it's QAnon. They blame everybody except for the people responsible and themselves if they're part of the system in cities like Baltimore and Cleveland. And then you got all these race pimps and grifters cashing in on it. Yeah, let's get some t-shirts with Tamir Rice on it, and then we'll sell them. Let's fundraise through BLM, Act Blue. Let's have this Act Blue organization take all this money, and we won't repair anything. Not a street sign with a bullet hole, not a bus stop. Won't even slap a fresh coat of paint on somebody's house. They do nothing, not build a school, nothing. They cash in on all that money, flood it into the coffers and the pockets of politicians, and then that's the end of it. So it's great to see somebody catching on. Hopefully more people follow suit and catch on and put an end to this grift, because it's a lie, it's a fraud, and it's sad to watch it continue to happen. Mike, the CPD killed a family member. He was robbing a damn bank. Who are you talking about? Are you talking about Tamir Rice? If you're talking about Tamir Rice, I don't know. I don't know anything about the case other than they said he was at a park with a gun that was a toy gun and he got shot. See, I don't even like to weigh in on these situations because it's so polarizing. It's so divisive. And it really, at the end of the day, like I said, I'm not emotionally invested. I care about the people in my sphere of influence, the people that I have the ability to influence directly. Close friends, family members. And then as far as everybody else, I just say my opinion online. I launch it into the ether. And if people seek it out, they'll find it. And that's it. I don't try to force my views. I don't try to get people to agree with me. That's just that. So I don't know what really happened in that situation. But I do know that police brutality is real. I mean, think about it. Like, there was a woman that just got arrested in Galveston in Texas for not wearing a mask at a bank. And I know people are like, I'm a private company. Okay, I've said this before. And maybe there needs to be conversations about this. Private businesses operating on public land. They're not allowed to just punch you in the face when you walk into the store. They can't rob you. They can't suggest every woman that comes in here needs to wear skimpy tight clothes because I'm a private business. These are our rules. No, they have guidelines. There's laws that they have to follow. And ultimately, the rights of the individual must be protected over everything else, over a business rights, over state rights, over federal rights, over any rights. The smallest minority in the world is the individual. And I say all that to say, when laws get tyrannical, when you have governors like Gavin Newsom, mayors like Eric Garcetti, when you have Lori Lightfoot, they empower law enforcement to be tyrannical. This is what I've been telling conservatives for a long time. Do you really back the blue? I got no problems with law enforcement, but do you back the blue when the blue doesn't back you? Their jobs are to enforce laws. Laws that are unjust, laws that are unconstitutional. So whoever makes the laws, they have to follow those orders. At the end of the day, same goes with the military. For people that are like, military's in control, just trust the plan. Trust government, that's what I'm hearing. When people say trust the plan, trust the military, it's all good. You're saying trust government. That's what I'm hearing. And at the end of the day, law enforcement is there to enforce laws. That's it. And sometimes it's unjust. A lot of times it is. And if you stand in their way, you'll get roughed up. I mean, the woman in the bank in Texas for not wearing a mask. Get this. That's where we are in 2021. Nowadays, you'll get the cops called on you if you're not wearing a mask in a bank. What a world. A woman just got her 6-year-old removed because she didn't wear a mask at the school. I haven't heard about that, DM, but I don't doubt it. I mean, look, there's so many instances of government overreach, but you see it at the local level, law enforcement level, because they're the ones to enforce laws. Everybody talks about like, they're going to take our guns. They're going to take our guns. Who's coming to get them? Back the blue? That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm trying to say about it. So that's why you'll never see me with a back the blue. And I know I got some like current and former cops that follow me. One of them shook my hand when I was out in Maryland. He's like, man, I'm a fan of your channel. I got no beef with the police at all. In fact, I see some of them as cool. You know, like, I don't have a problem. I don't fear for my life when I leave the house. I'm not somebody that breaks the law. And, you know, if I did break the law, like let's say, hey, I was speeding, I was going 80 and a 30 or something like that. I get pulled over. I'm going to have my license and registration, hands on the steering wheel. I'm just going to be chill. It's not hard to just follow the law. And if you think the law is unjust, have your day in court. But don't run, grab another gun and try to shoot the cop, resist arrest. It's nonsense. And then get shocked at the outcome. Like, I can't believe that woman. I'm sure there are some people shocked that that woman in Nashville got killed. I mean, I don't know how you can watch that video and be shocked if you're honest. Thank you, Josh. Josh, I can't talk. Josh said, donated 65 to Trump Save America PAC, getting 2 new Trump hats, and remember me from NYC Trump rally. Did I meet you at the Trump rally? Were you at the Trump rally? Appreciate your donation, though, man. God bless you. Thank you so much. And what else did I have to cover today? Nashville shooting. I guess some of the random, like, shock value statements that trap conservatives into making, well, maybe they're not trapped in it. They take the bait every time. There are some people, and it's really obvious that the statements they make are so outlandish. It's just for shock value. It's just for ratings. It's just for clicks. It's just for clout. It's just for, hey, look at me. I said something crazy. Joy Ann Reid is a perfect example of this. Seems like every week, this is why I don't make videos about it, because I'm like, what's the point? Am I going to be fake outraged that she said something else crazy? Same thing with AOC. It's like, am I really going to make another video? I made videos in the past, right? But it's just who she is. And you see that she's doing it on purpose. Joy Ann Reid said maybe last week or the week before that Republicans would give back their tax breaks if they could say the N-word. She said that on her show. It's stupid. It's dumb. She knows it's stupid and dumb. She doesn't believe it. She's just being an evil woman, misleading people who would believe her. There are people who watch this like, she's probably telling the truth. Slay queen. Get it, girl. There's people that follow her and support her, watch her garbage show for her to say these stupid, outlandish things, knowing that it's going to get pushback, because then she can then cry racism. See how it's just a game? It's just a trap to get people fighting back and forth. These shock value statements saying Republicans would change, they would give up their tax breaks just so they could say the N-word. Like, that is, where do you even begin to like pick that apart? It doesn't make sense. Why would you have to trade something to just say something? Why would you need to trade money to be able to say a word? You can just say it. I mean, if you're watching Vegan Teacher, you can say it anyway. That's what the Vegan Teacher proposes, the Vegan Teacher video from last week, where the lady's like, we need to remove the hate, not the words. And then she repurposed the N-word to mean like nice. She spelled it out and just, it's so bad. Nice, generous. It's bad. But the shock value statements of people like Joy Ann Reid, the guy who, I don't even know who he is, but he's a blue check mark, said something about Bill Burr's wife that just because these white Republicans or white men are married to black people doesn't mean they're not racist. They all have black sex slaves or something like that. That's an actual tweet that Jack Dorsey has no problems with. Again, I don't believe in speech censorship, but if you're going to apply the rules, apply them fairly across the board. That tweet shouldn't be allowed on the internet. If other tweets that have less of an impact have been taken off, but anyway, he said that. Why? Because shock value, because clout, because people would look him up, click on his profile, see his website, click on articles. That's what these people are doing it for. But it sparks right-wing outrage and everybody's like up in arms and like, let me make a video about it. Let me live stream about it. See, I'll just touch on it briefly in a live stream, but I just think that it's a trap for conservatives to get caught up in these like daily spats, just these little stupid things. If there's bigger fish to fry, right? Like the lockdowns, that's one of the biggest issues in our country right now is people aren't free. There's obviously the border crisis. 13,000 kids are in these overflow facilities. Biden won't go visit the border. They're using welfare as a magnet to bring people up here. That's why you have a surge. Nobody's talking about it. There's no outrage, no crying at the border. They're trying to change the demographics of this country so that it will be permanent, so they can have one party rule, just like China. While they're so concerned about what happened on January 6th, like that's just a distraction technique to get everybody to focus on that, while they radically reshape the country and have single party rule into the future. If they change the demographics, right? We're going to bring people up from Central and South America. They're seeking asylum, right? They can just wait right here in the US. They're putting them in facilities in downtown Dallas. They're bringing them all the way into the interior of the country. Catch and release, that's all back. Biden just reinstalled the old establishment policies of the southern border. And it shows because migrants are coming up here in fluxes. By the way, we're dealing with a pandemic, right? It's a pandemic. It's too dangerous to go outside without wearing 2 masks. But people can come up here in mass from Central and South America, just cross the border. We're going to put 13,000 kids in an overflow facility, but we can't put 1,300 kids in school. And it's too dangerous to go outside. It's too dangerous to do anything except migrants flood in. That's the only thing that's not dangerous. The only thing that doesn't spread COVID is people crossing the southern border. That's the only thing. It's a miracle. But I think that is a bigger issue, bigger fish to fry. Someone said Obama's 3rd term. The other thing, too, which honestly doesn't surprise me at all because I knew it was a lie at the time. The Washington Post issued a retraction months later, of course, about Trump saying or pressuring Georgia to fine fraud. They're like, oh, actually, it was misquotes. They always tell the truth later when it's safe to do so. Just like Time Magazine, fortified election. After the fact, after it's safe, why do they even bother telling the truth later on? Is it guilty conscience eating away at them? Or are they trying to make a mockery? Are they trying to tell you right to your face? Like, I know we just lied about what we did, when some people did something on November 3rd. Got to dance around a little bit. Some people did something November 3rd. And yeah, we lied about it then, but we're going to tell you the truth now. What are you going to do about it? They're laughing at us. They're laughing at us. So I'm not shocked or surprised at the Washington Post because it's a propaganda newspaper. They're liars. They get paid to lie. I'm not surprised if they came out and they're like, actually, that story was fabricated, just like everything else. The truth always comes to light at a later date. But that's another story that, while it's a big story, the lie already traveled around the world. The lie does so much damage before the truth finally comes out. And that's the point. They can damage whoever they're trying to target with a headline alone. The story could contradict the headline, but the average person just goes off the headline. And then they'll issue retractions later, but all they'll do is update. You ever see at the top of an article says, released on February 13th, updated March 16th, or whatever date it was. So they'll just update the article. But that story doesn't go viral. What goes viral is the initial headline. So that's what I think, guys. I think that's all I have to say on this one. So between that first live stream and this one, that's already an hour. And I can't tell how many people are watching. We got more than 100 watching. Would it be, of course, a lot more if I had my Facebook, but it is what it is. Maybe one of these days I can live stream on Rumble. Rumble does do live stream, of course, because RSBN did it, but I can't do it from my phone. I think it's because RSBN had we got connections. I'll just say that much. But I can't live stream. I can barely upload a pre-recorded video on Rumble. But I had a big reach on Facebook while I was there. Charles said, look at the owner of the Washington Post, Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. Eagle Wing says, thank you, Mike. You're a great patriot. Keep truth telling. Blessings. God bless America. Oh, and before I go, I want to thank, hold on. I'm going to show you guys this book I just got. Thanks to Beth Anon. I don't think that's your last name, but thank you for this book. Thank you. I'll give it a read. It's going to be a while, but I will give it a read. And you asked for a review, so I don't know if you're watching, but thank you for that book. You sent it to the RSBN PO box and they mailed it to me. So thank you. Appreciate it. And yeah, it's so hot in my house. Seriously, I'm about to end this live stream, but I'll be back before the week is over. I'm pretty sure. What's today? Today's Wednesday. So yeah, I'll have something for you guys before the week is over. It's probably going to be a bonus live stream, another live stream, because here's the thing. I prefer to do live streams because I can cover way more topics. It's way better because I like interacting with people. And then pre-recorded videos take too long. I'll still do them from time to time, but they take way too long to produce. And on top of that, YouTube suppresses the reach anyway. There would be more people that see this live stream than would see a video, even if it's a hot trending topic. If I were to cover all these topics as individual videos, they would get a fraction of the reach. So that's pretty much why. So I'll probably do another live stream at some point this week, maybe Friday. But anyways, guys, I got to run. God bless you. Thanks for tuning in to the second live stream. If you want to see the first one, it's only like 14 minutes long before it got cut. Check it out. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next stream.